There's nothing wrong with being religious, but being offensively religious is never acceptable, regardless of what religion you belong to.
And to that I'd also like to add, even if you believe in none, or just a philosophical standpoint, or indeed a political standpoint, or indeed a standpoint within any particular argument, as individuals we do occasionally overlap somehow, and once in a while we move towards the offensive. We don't always mean to do it, but sometimes we do, primarily because we don't know what else to do. We've been wound up emotionally to the point whereby we end up reacting. But there are those who choose to take a dogmatic or aggressive stance and to stick with it. And that doesn't really help. Now, no matter who or what wins over the course of human history, as it progresses forward from this date onwards, from the date when you're watching this video, to some distant point in the future, 2012, 2112, 2212, whenever. No matter which is the dominant ideology, no matter what the educational system has become, the same problems will always be there. Let's say that the educational system moved away from religion altogether and condemned religion in every possible way. Instead of stupid people with stupid religious ideas, what you may have is stupid people with stupid atheistic ideas. Or maybe instead of stupid people with stupid New Age ideas, you would end up with stupid people with stupid ideas. The issue, the way I see it, is to do with depth of analysis. The issue that I see it is to do with how much self-doubt and self-criticism people have, rather than trying to find a point of something that they can hold onto, to grasp like straws, or to hang onto like a piece of rock when climbing a wall. Just hanging onto it with your bare knuckles. A lot of the positions that have been taken throughout history have been rather ropey. Some of these ropey positions, presented eloquently and in depth, often well referenced and often supported by people who are authoritative or have some kind of authority behind them, have brought about some of the most appalling instances in human history. Take, for example, the writing of Malleus Maleficarum, an English translation of which I happen to have, the Hammer of the Witches, a book that was used during the Inquisition for the purposes of persecuting and killing people who were accused of witchcraft. I've been watching a documentary about this earlier on today, and as it turned out, the whole thing was just a complete hoax, written by one rather mentally ill, deranged individual who was a very good publicist, capable of publishing, during a time when the printing press had just got established, a book which helped to bring to death maybe 40 to 60,000 people, innocent people. It did so through the spread of lies, fabrications, half-truths, again eloquently expressed. There was a certain level of panic about some kind of disastrous future occurrence that might happen. And because of this paranoia that was spread by this book and its apparent authority, people died. Now, you might say to yourself, well, the Malleus was a religious text of sorts. Well, actually, no. It wasn't actually properly approved by the Pope. It was not a proper religious text. It's just that the little document that was placed in front of it, which appeared to be a papal bull, was not actually relevant to that one particular book. It was just put there to make it appear that it was actually approved of by the religious authorities. So think about that. A scam or a hoax. well presented, eloquently expressed, with some individuals behind it, or apparently backing it, individuals who have some kind of, in those days, authority. Spiritual authority, or religious authority, or academic authority. And it brought about the death of tens of thousands of people. Could that happen in an atheistic society? Too damn right it can. Because this is not a question of religion versus atheism. This is a question of humans. Treating other humans the way that primitive, frightened creatures treat other primitive, frightened creatures. For society to progress, it's not a question of what people believe. It's more a question of how they think, how they analyze, and how much pride they have in the fact that they've got doubt, self-criticism, and the emotion of guilt. Because the emotion of guilt holds society together. Even my cat has the emotion of guilt. It wasn't created by any particular body of people. It's written to us mammals, to hold our prides or our tribes or our packs of animals that we are together for the purposes of the survival of the whole group. Okay? These are good instincts to have. But if there's enough paranoia put out there, that can subvert reason, rationality, guilt, bring about another emotion, hatred, the desire for warfare, the desire for a battle. And during this era, when we have something that's even more powerful than the printing press, we have the internet, we have YouTube, how much more dangerous could this be? Unless other individuals step forward and promote a message which is critical of the other messages which are getting out there. That means that anyone out there who's got a camera and has got a YouTube account can find the hateful videos and can criticize their arguments. And there is a moral obligation to do it. You may think that your effort is not a lot, a drop in the ocean maybe. But words are powerful things. And they can slowly create change. I'll tell you a story. Once upon a time, when I was a little child, I went into school. And they decided to, give us one of those presentations they give people, to try and inspire the younger generation of cool hobbies which you could have when you're a grown-up. And this company came down, they did a presentation about a boat that they did. This boat was called The Weekender. And it was a cool presentation, I liked it. I was a kid about 4 or 6 or 7 years old, something like that. Probably about 4, I think it was. It's a long time ago now. And afterwards, I distinctly remember going up to the guy who did the presentation and said, "Why don't you call it a laser?" That's all I said. Why don't you call it a laser? 7 words. And because of that, the laser sailing dinghy was born. Myself, a tiny little child, talking to one man. I said, "Why don't you call it a laser?" And I, as a child, changed a business's culture with just a few words. Now think about how many people you're reaching right now, being on YouTube, setting up a blog, whatever it is, publishing online, doing your Twittering or whatever. Think about how many people you could reach. Think about how you can get yourself part of a big debate out there. And think about how you could use your words constructively. Not as misinformation or disinformation, but as a way of sorting out a problem, finding a solution to an issue, and bringing people to a greater level of truth, justice, and knowledge. You are someone right now who has the capacity to change the world, ever so slightly, but you can do it. And all it takes is to make that video, make that blog entry, send out that tweet, become part of that debate, and do something to change something, ever so slightly, just adjust the way that people are thinking about things, throw in another point of view or possibility into the equation. And remember, your words, a few characters on Twitter, a few moments sitting in front of a camera on YouTube, could change the world.